Merci, Fabien. Mesdames et messieurs, les Sociétés Botaniques de France, les Agroforesterie Association Française, merci pour l'invitation. Je m'appelle Paul Burgess, je suis un lecturer au Cranfield University en Angleterre et je suis le coordinateur de le projet AGFORWARD. Je voudrais présenter les présentations en français, mais mon français est terrible. So instead, I will speak in English, but the slides are in French, and for the questions, I will be helped by mon ami, Patrick Worms, who will translate the questions and as we go along. So for the presentation, there are four things I would like to cover. Firstly, my sort of vision of agroforestry. I would also like then to introduce the AGFORWARD project, and thirdly, to show you some of the resources available on the AGFORWARD site web for AGFORWARD before then coming to some conclusions. Firstly then, my vision of agroforestry. I did an agricultural degree for 3 years in England. We covered crop production, livestock production, but never in the 3 years of my agriculture degree did we cover trees, arbres. Likewise, in many forestry degrees, we never talk about farming. Now, that may be okay if we're just talking about production, but in Europe, many of the key rural issues, biodiversity, water quality, runoff control, climate change, requires us to bring together both agriculture and tree management. And that's why we're all gathered today to look at the subject of agroforestry. I quite like, when I think of agroforestry, to use this diagram. As I said, when I learnt about agriculture, sorry?
Middle one for the left.
Okay, yes. We covered crop production and livestock, and we looked at mixed agriculture, but we didn't cover trees. Trees were something separate. And as we've been learning today, yes, trees might be appropriate in some locations, livestock in some locations, crops in some locations, but there are also many locations and times when it's correct to integrate the three components. We had a talk earlier on about the mural at the top, and those of you at the bottom cannot see it very well, but those at the top can see the mural at the top. And maybe 100 years ago, they have created my diagram. It is almost a triangle. We have crops here. We have trees at the top. And we have one animal. But it is a snake. Okay, so it's not so good. Okay. Crops, trees, animals. And these people, we were told, were wise, but they kept them separate. But perhaps they were wise, because if you look around the outside, you can see a perennial hedge. So I think they were thinking of agroforestry when they designed this room. So firstly then, an introduction to the AgForward project. This is a project we started last year. It is funded by the European Union. It is a 4-year project focusing on agroforestry in Europe. The overall aim of the project is to promote appropriate agroforestry systems in Europe. And like the group at the top, yeah, we have some people who are working on the project, but with more women than the mural above. There are 4 broad objectives of the project. We are working with the European Forest Institute to look at understanding the context of agroforestry in Europe. We are working with 800 farmers across Europe, looking at identifying, developing and testing a range of agroforestry innovations. The third area is that we're evaluating the systems. And the fourth component of the project is to promote agroforestry at a policy, at a political level, and also through dissemination activity. It is a large project. We have 26 partners. They include the World Agroforestry Centre that Patrick works with, the European Agroforestry Federation, and France is well represented. So of the 26 partners, 5 are from France. They all have the letter A in their acronym. So there's ACTA, ASAPA, AFA, INRA, and AGROF. If there's one thing I would like you to take away today is to invite you to visit our website. So over the 4 years, we will be developing this website, www.agforward.eu. We have a range of languages. The website is hosted in France. And the top level pages you can access in French. So if my talk is now boring, you can just go on your mobile phone or your tablet and just visit the website. We have a range of resources. If you click resources on the website, we have some videos. We have a newsletter, and I want to show you 1 or 2 items on the website. We have just created an interactive map of the research sites describing different agroforestry systems across Europe. We will add to this in time. But if you go to the website, you can zoom in and out, and you can come down to an individual location, click on the icon, and learn more about a particular system, and there is a web link that will tell you more about each system. Also on the website, we have a link to a Flickr page. So there are 600 photographs of European agroforestry. So the idea, if you have to do a presentation somewhere on agroforestry and you want some pictures, you can go to this site. So I think some of the presenters here yesterday and today have visited the site. And we also have a Facebook page. So please visit our Facebook page, Facebook AgForward project, and like us, please, s'il vous plaît. If you click on this part of the website, you can access details of the 42 farmer networks that we have established during the first year. So we've established in the first year, working with a range of partners, 42 groups across Europe, where we have listened to farmers who are working with agroforestry systems, and on the basis of that we are then undertaking field and experimental work to try and address specific problems. And we're doing that in 4 key areas. Firstly, with existing agroforestry systems. Then, secondly, starting with systems that start with trees. Thirdly, systems that start with arable systems. And fourthly, systems that start with livestock. So the first group that we are working with are existing systems, a bit like the Dehiza in Spain or the Montado in Portugal, which tend to be a combination over a long period of time of trees and principally livestock. So we have over 10 groups looking at these traditional systems. I've mentioned the Dehiza, Montado. We've got similar wood pasture systems in Greece, in Hungary, and even in Romania. We're working with Bocage Agroforestry, working with INRA in Brittany. And one of the systems, we have been talking about tropical systems. This is the other extreme. This is the coldest agroforestry system. And in Europe, it's probably, in terms of area, the largest agroforestry system. So colleagues in the European Forest Institute and SLU in Sweden have been working with Sami people in Sweden who herd reindeer in forest environments through northern Sweden. Sami who work with reindeer see that the agroforestry system provides them products that they can sell, and it provides a cash flow. And in the discussions that the researchers have had, the proposal is to look at perhaps using GPS to monitor location of the reindeer, techniques to re-establish lichens, and also better ways for foresters and reindeer managers to work together. The second group of practices focus on systems starting with high-value trees. And by that we mean olive trees, apple trees, chestnut trees, and also some walnut. And here we're looking at people who start with trees and are looking either to include crops. So in some situations with olive systems, olives are not always profitable. Is there a way of intercropping olives to make the system more productive? And in some systems, some orchard systems, maybe the costs of grass control is high, looking at grazed orchards and making that system work. So we have 8 systems across Europe, from farmers using chickens and growing asparagus with olive trees in Italy, through to intercropping oranges in Greece, and one system in Normandy and also on Angleterre is a grazed orchard system. So in the UK, where farmers grow apples for cider, one of the things farmers have to do is to cut the grass under the trees. That costs money. So instead of paying or using tractors to cut the grass, one option is to use sheep to cut the grass for you and at the same time provide an additional source of revenue. Farmers and sheep producers can generally see the production and environmental benefits of the system. It's mainly the complexity of the work and some of the administrative hurdles that are seen as key problems. And I didn't know this until last year, that there is apparently a breed of sheep called Shropshire sheep that are from the UK and are being exported to France because these sheep do not like to eat trees. So we're going to be doing some work with these Shropshire sheep, and we'll be looking at the effects of using these sheep on apple production. A range of other work will be happening at the other sites. The third group, we are starting with arable farmers and looking at systems that can encourage arable farmers to put trees into their systems. So here, starting with arable, starting with crops, and looking to establish an agri-silviculture system. We have a range of groups across Europe, from Switzerland through to Italy, through to Germany. There's a group, I think, in Hungary as well, and there's many groups in France that we are working with. One of the groups we are working with in France is INRA in the Montpellier region, and one of the systems or one of the areas of experimental work that INRA are undertaking is looking at the variety selection of durum wheat appropriate for agroforestry systems. So that brings us to the last area. The last area we are focusing on is livestock farmers, and looking at when in a livestock system is it appropriate to include trees. So what sort of silvopastoral system is appropriate. So we have about 8 groups across Europe, working with cows in France, through to local pig species in Galicia, in Spain, through to woodland poultry production in the UK. Earlier this afternoon, I was very impressed by how long you clapped for the food. In England, we never clap for food for that long. There may be a reason for that, because, we do not value our food enough. And many of these systems are focusing on getting a higher value for animal products. And one system in the UK, and I have brought some woodland eggs from the UK. So in the UK, we eat 11 billion eggs each year. And that's a lot of eggs, and about 3%, so about 300 million of the eggs we eat are woodland eggs, and that amount of eggs is increasing. So hens are traditionally woodland species, and there is research showing that the welfare of hens, if you provide a natural environment, there can be less pecking, and generally it's thought that the welfare of the hens is better if you can provide a wooded environment. And in the UK, there is a group that looks at the welfare of animal products, RSPCA, and in the past few months they have said for free-range eggs in the UK, all farmers have to provide at least 5% tree cover. So this is a particular area of agroforestry in the UK. So in conclusion, so we have a 4-year project. Hopefully you will hear about the results of the project over the 4 years. Please visit our website. So there are some videos, some photos. There's reports already of the 42 systems we're working with. There's a newsletter you can receive, and remember to like our Facebook page. So please log on to the website, join the Facebook page, and if you wish to get even more involved, contact one of the groups near to you. Merci pour votre attention.